3 words that took me from the worst salesperson in the company, I felt like the worst salesperson in the world, to one of the top reps in 45 days. I'm going to cover how to develop salespeople that are top performers. I'm going to give you the wherewithal, the sales process, the methodology needed to do this. We're going to walk through at a very high level. And by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, I have a book, the B2B Blueprint to Predictable Sales, and there'll be a link below. Any other platform, just ask for it in the comments. I'd be happy to send you a copy. All right. So when I first got in sales, I was the worst salesperson. Out of 119 sales reps, I was 119. Dead last. I had zip, zero, not a sales. Day after day, week after week, month after month. And it was 100% commission. Zero. And so I talked to my boss one day, and he sensed I was down, and he invited me over to his house for dinner. And I'll never forget it. After dinner, he took me into the den. This was in Northern California. And if you're not familiar with Northern California, sometimes people think, oh, California, it's nice and warm out there. California. As a matter of fact, Mark Twain said this. He said, the coldest winter I ever spent was the summer I spent in San Francisco. And this was about 100 miles north of San Francisco, where it's much colder. So that being said, there was a fire in the fireplace. And after dinner, my boss, his name was Ken Upton. I haven't talked to him. I don't even know if he's still around. He's not only my boss, but my mentor, and I'll explain why. He sat down in his chair of prominence, and I sat across from him in a chair, and he said, Chaz, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired of not making any sales? And I was like, yes. And he told me 3 words that changed my life. I would not be making this video today if I didn't hear those 3 words and then take them to heart and to act on them. Now, I'm not talking about I wouldn't be alive, but these 3 words totally changed my perspective in life. And it's at the core of anybody who is successful. He said this. He said, Chaz, you can be. Sounds kind of simple, doesn't it? Now, he didn't end there, but just those 3 words spoken to me from someone I looked up to. My boss became my mentor in that moment. He was speaking belief into me. He was speaking life into me. Now he proceeded, or followed, I should say, he followed with the top salesperson in the company. But you got to follow the system. You got to follow the process because it's proven. I had been looking at the system and process, and it seemed too complicated and awkward, and I didn't have belief. And so I was doing my own thing. And that's why I had zero nada sales in over 2 months. So leaving my boss's house, my mentor, as I like to call him today, I went home. I was living in a hotel at the time, and I started following the system, and I started following the process. And what do you know? I started scheduling meetings. I'll never forget, I walked out of this one meeting with a check for like $2,500. Now, adjusted for inflation, that check probably would have been about $10,000 to $15,000 today. It was huge. It was my first sale. I'm like, oh my gosh, this stuff actually works. Wow. And then I scheduled another meeting and got another sale, and another meeting and another sale. My confidence grew. I followed the system. I followed the process. And so 45 days later, I was not the top sales person in the company, but I was number 3. From 119 to number 3. I was in the top 2% in the company. So here's what I want to tell all of you out there, either as a sales rep or if you manage or lead sales reps. First and foremost, you have to have belief. You need to have someone that speaks life into you. And if you're a leader, you manage sales reps, you lead them, it's better to lead a sales rep than to manage them, okay? Speak belief into them, not false belief, true, honest belief. My boss, my mentor, Ken Upton, truly believed in me, and he saw something special. And if you're hiring a sales rep, you should see potential. And if they're not performing, you know whose fault it is? Yours. And you know what I see as I've been in sales for over 3 decades, and I've helped hundreds of businesses with my B2B Blueprint to predictable sales, create processes and methodologies for companies so their sales rep can step into something that's proven. They know what to do. They know what not to do. They know what to say. They know how to say it, and they get success. Many companies I talk to, and typically I'm focusing on $1 million to $20 million companies, annual companies, and they're somewhere between 1 to 5 sales reps. They don't have a proven system. They don't have a proven process. Many times in these companies, the founder was doing sales, and then he started hiring sales reps because he or she didn't want to sell anymore. But you cannot teach a sales rep to sell the way you sell. No sales rep can sell a way that a founder does of a company, because you have interest, ownership in the company. You have a different stake, which gives you confidence in and of itself. So they naturally see you as an authority. Proven system, proven process, 2 different things. Sometimes I call it a methodology, or companies call it a methodology. So the process is, okay, prospect, schedule meeting, discovery, demo, whatever it is, okay? The methodology is how you carry out each one of those steps. For example, I was talking with someone who had this specific situation. They have 3 sales reps. They did not have a proven sales process or methodology. So the first thing I did is this two steps before the call within the system or methodology is intention and research. Your intention determines what you say and what you don't say. If you go with the right intention, you go with the intention to serve and not sell, you will attract and not repel. But if you just go into a meeting with the intention to try to sell someone, to try to get something, to get a commission, they're going to sense that. Maya Angelou said this. She says, people will never remember everything you said, but they will remember exactly how you made them feel. So intention within my methodology, within my system is first, and then it's research. It's so easy. I can just go to ChatGPT here and you can get great information. So you show up, you know their background, you know their needs and wants, and much, much, much more. I was working with one sales rep who was doing research and like, oh, hey, how's the weather going out there? And he thought that was building rapport. I like to say, build a genuine connection, because rapport gets outdated. So you want to have a genuine connection. It's same as rapport, but I like the language better, and words mean things. And in doing research, he found out that the owner of the company was the son of the founder, and they had a healthy disagreement on how to run the company, and they gave each other a hard time. All this information was through a chat GPT search. And so the sales rep went with the right intention, did the research, and he said, before I get started, this is the sales rep, he said, I noticed that you and your father, the founder of the business, have had kind of a healthy disagreement on how to how to run the business. And he said, yeah. He says, well, the guy said, first of all, I'm very impressed. And they got into a very deep discussion. Genuine connection was established. So That's essential. Now, on the rest of the system and methodology, what I do with my clients is I customize it based on who they are and what they do, as opposed to taking a cookie cutter sales system, sales methodology, and try to force it into your business. Every industry and every business and every company is slightly different. So it's real important that not only do you need a sales process, but a sales methodology. They're in alignment with one another. They complement one another, but it's also customized to your specific business. Ken Upton, they developed this methodology in the sales process through hundreds and hundreds of hours of making mistakes and tweaking them and going back and getting improvement and getting feedback from prospects and getting feedback from your clients. Elon Musk said this: you need constant feedback loops. And who gives you the best feedback? Your prospects and clients. As a matter of fact, if you have a prospect who doesn't buy from you, the best thing to do is to go back to them and say, I realize we're not going to work together. Would you be opposed to giving me some honest feedback on the good, bad, and the ugly? Because I want to improve. If you go with sincere humility, you'll get the feedback. You have to have a backbone for this. You'll get the feedback. And many times I've had clients, I call it, they throw themselves under the bus with humility. And I said many times, probably about 20 to 25% of the time, they turn those prospects who said no into actual clients. So remember this: belief is essential, but you have to have a proven system in process in order for your reps to plug into, or in order for you to plug into to get results. If you don't have a proven process and system and something's not happening, then you're not going to be able to determine where did the problem happen, what part of the selling system, where in the sales process. And here's something that I'll end with. I use the acronym TABS, TTABS. And this is a framework that I use with my clients. And it's 5 things, TTABS. 5 things, not my hand. It's your tactic, your technique, your attitude, your behavior, and your strategy. The tactic is what you do. Like you're making a call, you're sending a DM, you fill in the blank. Those are tactics. Technique, that's how you execute on the tactic. Your body language, your tone, very important. So you can have a tactic, but a technique that's off, and you're not going to have that genuine connection. You're not going to be able to go below the surface and go beyond the self-protective buying defense system that your prospects have if you don't have the right technique. And again, intention is important. It's not about manipulating just because you have the right technique. You go with the right intention, you're using the right tactic, and the technique is how you execute on the tactic. And then A is attitude. It's not just having a good mindset. As I mentioned before, intention. Go with the intention to serve, not sell, and you will attract and not repel. Having an intention to serve will differentiate yourself from anyone else. How many times have you had a conversation with a sales rep and you left the conversation realizing they were there to serve you? I ask that question to many people, and very few will say, oh yeah, I just had one today. It's very rare. Your intention determines how you say what you say. And so it aligns with technique. Very important to have those two together. And your B is the behaviors. That's how many of your tactics you do to schedule a certain amount of meetings and then onboard a certain amount of clients. That's the KPI, activities. How many of these tactics do I need to do with the right technique and attitude to schedule meetings and onboard new clients? But S is strategy. And this is where most companies miss the mark. This has to do with marketing. And strategy is about knowing and understanding that main need, that main want of your target audience, and speaking to it in such a way that they realize you understand them and you're the authority who can solve their problem. Sun Tzu said this. He said, tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. But he also said strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. You need both of those. You also need technique and attitude. And if you go with the right sales process and selling system and incorporate tabs, you can identify when your sales reps are doing well and why they're doing well. Their technique is strong, their tactic is strong. Wow, they're incorporating their strategy. Or if they're not doing well, you can, within 5 minutes, identify the problem instead of having multiple conversations with your sales reps going boom, back and forth, can't identify the problem. Tabs helps you identify why they're being successful and why they're not and how to correct it quickly. So remember this, leadership, speak life into your people. If you are a sales rep, get a mentor that can speak life into you. And if you are a sales rep, find a company that has a proven sales process and selling system. And if you are an owner, a founder, a CEO, or president, and you don't have a sales process, if I asked you, what's your sales process? What's your sales methodology? If you can't answer that, not good. If you like a copy of my book, comment below, or on YouTube, there'll be a link to the B2B Blueprint to Predictable Sales. It will be of great help to you as you put together your selling system and sales process. It's all in there.